Hey, welcome to this video, which is going to be a design overview for the VanLab Mercedes Sprinter 144 Conversion Kit. What we hope to do in the next 10 minutes or so is run you through the VanLab kit, what actually is a VanLab conversion kit, and how does it work within the Mercedes Sprinter 144. Then run through the build process, which bits you do first, where does the kit fit into that process. We'll then take an overview of the design of the Mercedes Sprinter 144 conversion kit. We'll open up the 3D model, take a look at the CAD, spin the model around and interrogate some things in detail. And then finally, we'll take a look at the storage in the kit. So what can you store in terms of appliances, kind of extras that you might want to put in there, but also like where can you put your bikes? And we've got some generic items we've pulled in, golf clubs, etc., to see exactly where they would go. So the first question really is, what is a VanLab kit? So a VanLab kit is a conversion kit for your Mercedes Sprinter 144. What we've done is taken a 3D model, take a 3D scan of an empty Sprinter, and we've looked at the space that's available. We've worked out how to turn that into a really functional living space with a kitchen, a bed, garage storage. Then we've looked at complementary appliances like fridge, water storage, electrical systems, cushions, worked out the best orientation and the best design balance of all those elements, and then boiled it down into a flat pack kit. The kit is then manufactured and shipped directly to your door for you to build. The idea of the VanLab kit is to take as much of the difficulty out of building your own camper van as we possibly can. So when the kit arrives, it's as easy to assemble as we can make it. Everything is cut to size. There's no measuring, no cutting, no modifying on your end. We've done all that for you. Just to give you an overview of the Sprinter kit, start on the photo on the right. And what you can see here is we have a fridge at the front. Driver's side is the kitchen unit. You'll notice that the worktop above the fridge is slightly lower, and that is actually so it's really accessible with swivel seats, along with this little cutout in front of the fridge here, that when you swivel the driver's seat round, the driver has a really comfortable height for dining or maybe working on a laptop desk height. Behind the fridge, we have the water storage. We have space for a sink up top, and then water storage underneath that, and water pump. Behind that, we have food storage and a little locker for trash. If we move to the middle photo, you can see on the left-hand side, we have a bench. Now that's wide enough for two people to sit next to each other. And behind that, you can see some black circles there. That's all the electrical system that comes with the VanLab wiring loan. Now that includes your switches, your voltmeters, USB chargers, and then actually tucked away down there will be all your fuse boards, all your battery components, and all the wiring that then runs around the van to drive your different accessories. Behind that, we have the bed section. So we can see on this photo on the left, you have a raised bed sleeping east-west in the Sprinter 144. And you can see in this case, the customer had flares in. Then the bed is a compatible height with flares to get a little bit of extra width in there. And under the bed, we have a large garage section. Now we'll go into a little bit more detail when we actually pull up the 3D model, but you can see that the rear section has doors and then it has open storage as you move forward. One of the key aspects of a VanLab kit is we have these moving tables. So in the middle photo here, you can see our table is on the kitchen rail. And again, when we pull up the 3D model, we'll go into a little bit more detail how this works. But basically this table can slide up and down that rail on the kitchen front there, or it can be lifted up and put onto the rail by the bed to make a bedside table and remove it from the walkway, or it can even be clipped on the outside of the van, as you can see a rail on the right-hand photo here, to provide an outdoor table as well. Now, all VanLab kits adhere to a very similar design brief. We need to take the space inside the van and deliver a kitchen space, a living space with a comfortable desk, so you can work from home and have a working area there, as big a bed as we can possibly fit, a garage storage area with as much storage as we can have, and then make that compliant with our wiring harness and a list of complementary components like the fridge and the water storage. We can provide this list to you, and then typically you would just buy from this list so you can handle if there's any warranty issues or any issues with that product in the future. You know exactly where it came from and can handle that really quickly. There are also, we have a range of complementary products such as the paneling and the insulation that we can send, which are all pre-cut specifically for the Sprinter 144 and specifically for DIY. Now, obviously, if you don't want to install this yourself, you can bring your van to us at our Simi Valley workshop in California, and we can install everything for you. But getting onto that kind of build process, we're just going to give an overview of that. So what we would normally advise is that you insulate your van first. As I mentioned, there's pre-cut kits that we can provide specifically for the Mercedes Sprinter 144, and they will arrive with your furniture kit. Once the insulation's in the walls, we can then go on to wiring. And our wiring harness is all cut to length to get to the lighting, to the fridge, to all the appliances that you need. But you want to run that first around the frame of the van before you put your paneling in. You then put your paneling up, and following that, you can then start the furniture kit build. Once the furniture kit builds in, you can then move on to the finishing touches, to the cushions, the appliances, and kind of finishing the van and decorating it in any way that you would like. We're going to take a look at the 3D model in a minute, but first I just wanted to kind of orientate you to the way that the kit sits within the van. So you can see here, this is our 3D scan. As I mentioned before, every VanLab kit starts with a 3D scan. This allows us to interrogate the width, the length, the height of the van, and really give us an understanding of what we're working with. It also allows us to complete several design iterations before we lock in the design that we've gone with here. One thing you can see quite clearly here is actually in the scan on the left, the driver's seat is rotated, so you can see how we've designed it for front swivel seats as well. If we now take a look at the 3D model, we can see the Sprinter 144 3D model here. Now, as I mentioned before, we have these three table locations. Your kit will just be provided with one table, so these three here are purely for representation. Most of the VanLab kits really consist of the three sections. We have the kitchen section here with the fridge at the front. And as I mentioned before, there's a range of complementary products. So this cutout is given to the exact dimensions of the fridge that we advise, and that sits right in the front there. Now, we have had people that would prefer like a top opening Dometic style fridge, and then they've had that kind of sitting in the van, and then that's actually allowed that fridge space to be used for a porta potty or something like that, which is accessible at nighttime. We then have the sink and the faucet area in the worktop here, and again, this is cut to the exact size of the products that we can recommend. And then we have a storage area at the back, which is generally kitchen storage items, and a top opening storage here, which can be used either for kitchen, like cooking items, or for trash. It's a really great locker to store your trash away. On the other side of that, we have a bench seat, big enough for two people, and some really handy storage under the bed here. This is kind of for your everyday items. It's super accessible from the front of the van. You don't have to go back around to get into the main storage area in the back, but that's really great for books, a little nook to charge your phone, and anything that you're kind of going to use on a daily basis. This bench is also where we would normally store our battery, inverter, and some of our electrical setup. It's easy to access, easy to change fuses if anything goes, also easy to turn on and off if you're leaving the van parked up for a while. There's a main battery isolator switch that sits in there. As we spin the kit round, you notice we have a really large garage section. So the bed is east-west, and then under that we have a number of storage lockers. Doors at the back, and then becoming more open as we move forward. Because those areas are slightly harder to reach, you're obviously leaning into the van, so we make those open for easier access. And as I mentioned before, we then have this walk-through all the way through, and this is really great for storing surfboards, kayaks, big tents, gazebos, any of the longer, more solid items that wouldn't fit just under the bed space. In terms of building a van, we've tried to take as much of the difficulty out of that as possible. So what you can see here is the kitchen items, kitchen parts all labeled A1, A2, A3. The bench will be B1, B2, B3, and then the bed section will be C1, C2, C3. And this just counts up consecutively. So we start at A1. Now A1 has a number of tabs on it, and those tabs correspond to a number of slots on the floor. Also, the floor is labeled A1. So you find part A1 and you're going to slot it in the floor where it says A1. So you get your floor down first, find part A1, just put it in place. But what you'll notice is the slots for A1 are different to the slots for A2, which are different to the slots for A3 and A4 and so on. So there's only one location that A1 can fit in the whole kit, and that's exactly where it needs to be. It also can't fit in the wrong orientation, so it can't fit through 180 degrees. To secure all the panels together, we have these blocks that we call batten. They have 2 hole orientation and 1 hole and a third, and these are completely interchangeable throughout the kit. So you get a lot of these and you can use them absolutely anywhere. As with the VanLab kit, everything is designed to be completely unique, so it only fits in the right place, or completely common, so it can fit in any place throughout the van. In order to show you where these parts fit, each part is actually labeled with a box or a line. You'll notice that your holes are pre-drilled in there, and the box is showing you that that little batten, that little block is going to fit on the front face. The line is showing you that it's going to fit on the back face, and you're going to screw it from the front. There's a couple of very simple rules. They're explained in the instructions. There's a detailed instruction manual that comes with every kit. But basically, the part tells you where the blocks go, and then the numbering, A1, A2, shows you where the part goes in the van, and you simply join the dots. We're now going to take a look at what storage we have available in the VanLab kit. So, as I mentioned, we tried to make the garage as big as possible. This gives us the biggest bed and the biggest storage, whilst balancing a really usable kitchen with a big fridge, water storage, but enough room to store all your kitchen items, pots, pans, plates, and food. One of the things that we're really pleased with the VanLab garage is that it's big enough for 2 men's large framed mountain bikes. So what you do is just spin the front wheel out and you'll be able to push the bikes in and they'll fit in the garage area. On the right hand side here, you can see that we just put a couple of golf bags in there just to give you an idea of a generic product, a generic size for the garage storage area. That brings us about to the end of our overview of the VanLab kit, the process of how you build it, how you receive it, or we can install it as well, what you can store in there, and how it all fits together. Now we're going to leave a link below in the description below the video, and that's a link to our website, a link to the specific Sprinter 144 product, and if you want any more information, please just reach out and contact our team. Thanks very much.